Eating disorders are not always about the food. There's a lot of psychological and mental understandings behind it that I feel like a lot of people don't get unless you go through it or you know somebody who went through it. So this is my speech about how quarantine affected me mentally and physically. In the beginning of quarantine, I didn't really think it was going to have that much of an effect on me as it did. I mean, it was only supposed to be 2 weeks, so how bad could it have really been? But then the 2 weeks turned to 3 weeks, the 3 weeks turned to a month, the month turned to another month, and that meant a total of 2 full months in self-quarantine. And at first, I didn't really think it was that bad. I was honestly just happy about the fact that I didn't have to physically get up and go to school, and it didn't really feel real until reality really started to settle in. The self-isolation was super hard for me to get used to, and getting out of bed to do anything, to even just be slightest productive, just seemed impossible to me. And this had a really bad effect on my mental health and my body physically. It was weird because it was just super hard for me to get used to because I was always surrounded by people, especially my loved ones. I was always with my friends. I was with my boyfriend every single day. I was with my family members every single day. So when the shelter in place happened and everything changed and I wasn't allowed to see them at all, it was super hard for me. And just the thought of being stuck somewhere for so long without a change of scenery just really made my anxiety shoot out of the roof. But I knew I couldn't complain because this was a serious matter and I had to think of the long term. But it all just kind of happened so fast and it was hard for me to kind of keep up with it. But I didn't want to be selfish and only worry about how I felt because there was a whole virus going around that was more serious than people were taking it. And through all of that, I literally lost motivation for everything. I don't even know how I finished my spring semester of college because it was so hard for me to have the motivation to want to do my work. So I wasn't doing my work and it started to show, and it got worse before it got better. I was never getting out of bed, not even to eat. I was skipping meals and I wasn't finding eating at all a priority as much as I should have. And it went on like this for about a month, and I didn't really see the problem with it until it was kind of brought to my attention about how thin I was getting. My family members were starting to notice, and I was losing a ton of weight, and I became super, super insecure with myself, and I was crying, and I was having panic attacks more than usual. And I was honestly just hoping and praying that by the end of this, I was going to have a huge turnaround. But I can't say quarantine was all bad because it did have its perks. It really made me understand life from a different perspective. And in conclusion to all this, I came out of quarantine a better version of myself. I started to make my physical and mental health a priority finally. And I started to make it a habit to eat. I was eating consistent meals. I was picking up new hobbies to keep my mind busy and distracted. And the one thing that I kept telling myself is that I cannot let this define me. I cannot let my image define me. I had to accept things for the way that they were and want to see a change. So that's exactly what I did. And in order for me to be better, I had to want better. So for anyone that knows someone that is going through this or has gone through this themselves, just remember that with good things come time and patience. You're not going to see results right away, but don't get discouraged because you have to work hard. You have to work super hard, and you have to always tell yourself that a new you is in the making. Thank you guys for tuning in, and good luck this semester.